Hello and welcome to Analysis. I am Deji Badimasi. Now, more people have been confirmed dead and more survivors rescued hours after a high-rise building collapsed in the Ikoyi area of Lagos on Monday. That's in southwest Nigeria. The death toll and number of survivors rose on Tuesday as rescue efforts continued through the night. Meanwhile, emergency workers have intensified rescue operations as more people are believed to be trapped under the rubble. And the rubble, of course, is quite huge. The Deputy Governor of Lagos State, Hamzat, has been shedding more light on the collapsed building. Here's what he's had to say.
So you are responsible to your employers. We are responsible to the people of the state. Our focus is on saving lives. So that's what our focus is. So it's like I said, it's a search and rescue operation right now. So let's just focus on that. We are mobilizing all the needs that we want, every equipment, everything that we need to save people's lives. So that's the focus now. Do you get the information? That's why I'm here. And then, so it's straightforward. There is something that is called structural integrity test. So as a matter of fact, if you are aware, this location was sealed for about 4 months, sometimes ago. It was sealed from July. I think it was open from June. So it was sealed because our agency came in to do structural tests. They saw some anomalies, so they shut it down and said those things should be corrected. And so we normally do this type of. So the second building will also be audited in terms of integrity test. And of course, if we find anything, then the appropriate action will be taken. So and it's important to also announce that we have an agency that's supposed to do this job. And that's why they came in around July to check, and when they saw the anomalies, they shut the site down. So we do that regularly, and we just hope that people will understand the need for state government to also do that most of the time, to make sure that if there's an anomaly, we will shut it down, just like we did, and they were making corrective actions when this happened. There are processes for sealing. You don't need to send memo. Yes. So you come here, you visit the site. So there will be a project manager, and then you give them the sealed document. And then, of course, in front you see the normal mark and then the seal. So it was shut down from, I think, June to November. So that when they made some corrections, we checked the results, and then they came back. So now, remember, a lot of, at the time that this is happening, they were not really constructing. They were also trying to show people what investigation later will also show exactly what happened. So it's difficult to answer the full details of what the state is until we do a sort of serious structural integrity test.
Well, that is the Deputy Governor of Lagos State, Obafemi Hamzat, speaking on the state of the building before it collapsed. Now, joining me on the program from the site is David Majekodumi, who is the chairman of the Nigeria Institute of Architects, Lagos State chapter. Thank you very much, sir, for joining us on the program. First off, let me ask you this, sir. From what you have seen, I know you have been at that site, you've gone round. From what you have seen, what would be your observation?
My observation, it's very sad because I've been around for the past 3 or 4 hours and they're still trying to clear the debris and pulling out dead bodies. Very sad. Unfortunately, it's not the doing of these dead bodies, but it's the negligence of some people. First and foremost, you can't be penny wise and pound foolish. The developer is penny wise and pound foolish. And at this point, I'm calling on Lagos State government to please put a regulation or a regulatory body on all the developers in Lagos State. Because coming into the site, at every construction site, the first requirement is to have a signage at the entrance which tells you who the architect, who the structural engineer, who the other consultants are, and who the M&E or the main contractor and subcontractors are. But coming into the site now, and which this signage must have been at the entrance of the site for the past 2 years that the construction has been going on, unfortunately, is the same person, the same developer, is the same client, is the same consultant, is the same main contractor. Is he an architect? Is he an engineer? Is he a builder? And this is also bring to the saying, let the regulatory bodies tighten their belt and do the needful. 6 weeks ago or 7 weeks ago, a learned lawyer, a famous lawyer in Nigeria, and the person of Falana, was addressing all the professionals in the allied professionals in the construction industry and said, enough is said of building collapse. We should be ashamed of ourselves. Because why? If our regulatory body are doing the needful instead of fighting each other, this is a lawyer talking because he's been going to defend a lot of cases against either the regulatory body or with the consultant, we won't be in this mess. That's number two. Number three, we talk about National Building Code. What is the National Building Code? The National Building Code gives a minimal requirement in terms of use of materials, the quality of materials, the quality of work, and the labor to be used. But unfortunately, as I'm speaking to you today, authoritatively I can tell you, this Nigerian National Building Code has been dangling for the past 36 years. The allied professional came together in 1986 to draft a national building code in order to meet up with what is best practice globally. It wasn't signed until 2006, 20 years after, by the then Minister for Works and Housing, that's Mimiko. And since that 2006, up till today, our National Assembly, 15 years after, they haven't passed this law. I'm using this medium because if we have this in place, where everybody is aware of the National Building Code, where it's domesticated in each state, all what is happening is not going to happen. I've practiced in England, and for any building to take place, you must submit your building regs drawing. And the building regs says all it all, because you have to specify according to the National Building Code. It's so sad where we are today.
All right, sir.
And I'm calling on the government. I'm calling on the National Assembly
we had the deputy
to please do the needful, pass this bill.
In July, the regulatory authorities were at that site. As a matter of fact, that they shut down the site for about, he said for about 2 months or so, and to carry out integrity tests. And after that, of course, we wouldn't have known what followed. But usually when an integrity test, when the authorities carry out an integrity test on a building, are they not supposed, and they make any correction, are they not supposed to do a follow-up to ensure that whatever corrections they've asked the developer now to make, that those corrections are effected?
Yes, there must have been a follow-up. I can authoritatively tell you, I've been at a site representing the Nigerian Institute of Architects where even the government officials were not allowed into the site. The so-called rich, I'm sorry to say, the so-called people with the Nigerian police giving them escort, the escort or the police barred them. I mean, when you see people carrying gun and you happens to be a government official, you don't have any gun, you don't have any police escort, and you want to go to a site to do your need, to do what you're supposed to do, and seeing a gun, won't you run back? And that is what is happening. So is said about this site. Is in the social media. They said it's trapped, or I don't know, I don't believe in the news on the social media. But they came to the site, they could not allow them in because it has the so-called escort. And that is where our police is wasting their revenue on. And you look at the government officials want to carry out his duty after sealing up a place, and you couldn't even allow them. But by the time he gets back to the office, by the time get the task force, have they got enough? Even the task force, must everybody be going around with police to get access to do your work? So, I mean, with what the deputy governor said, if I have not witnessed it, I wouldn't have said yes. Now, if the place has been sealed up, there must be a follow-up. But until when we hear the investigation, the result of the investigation, were there any follow-up? And if there is not, why was there no follow-up? But I can authoritatively tell you it's something that I've witnessed. Even here today, there were a lot of Air Force, there were a lot of Army, there were a lot of police. Doing what? It's too late to cry when the head is off. What are they doing? We have the first aid, we have the emergency people around doing their work, and all of a sudden, by the entrance, you have hundreds of Air Force, Army at the entrance. Doing what now? When people's life has been lost. Why didn't they come around when during the construction, or on whose instructions are they around?
Now, let me ask you this.
Thank you.
Whether we like it or not, this is quite damaging, not just to Lagos State. It's damaging to Nigeria, and of course damaging to even your profession as well. And it's a sad commentary, because this is the very first time that we'll be having a 21-story building collapse in this city and probably in this country, because I can remember any time we had this kind of incident. Of course, building collapse is actually common in Lagos here, but not a 21-story building that is supposed to be a luxury apartment where you would expect the best of technology would have been deployed to erect a structure. Tell me, for you as an architect, how bad is this for the image of architects in this country, the image of engineers in this country, the image of the country as a whole?
Yeah, I said it. There's a lot to it. We have a regulatory body. If the regulatory body has done the needful, maybe we wouldn't have had a quack engineer or a quack architect on the project. This shows the negligence of not only the developer, but of the consultant, because definitely they're supposed to advise the client. It's very sad. And that's why we're all out there as architects, trying, praying, working so hard to make sure, even if at all, we adopt the minimal requirement. And that's why I still home on the National Building Code. It's such a shame. You see, what goes for the goose goes for the gender as well. When the National Assembly for over 35 years has not been able to ratify a law that is needed for construction, how much more the consultant? What can you do? Lagos State Nigerian Institute of Architects, together with the Nigerian Institute of Architects as a whole, we've been propagating, talking about this National Building Code. But you know the system. Do we have to go and lobby? Do I have to take my money out of my pocket to go and lobby the National Assembly? It's not done. These are people's life put into danger. You are quite right. It's embarrassing. It's shameful as a consultant. Not that when things like this happen, then we'll be coming to the site to talk. This is not the first, and this won't be the second. The first was this building on Broad Street, which the government has to pull down. That was just a partial collapse at the top of the 20-something story building. So this is not the first time, but we need to put a stop to this. It's embarrassing. Now there's what they call professional indemnity insurance. The insurance company in this part of the world are not helping. They ask you to pay a huge premium as a consultant. I've worked abroad and I'm still using even foreign insurance company where my professional indemnity insurance is spread within the duration of the construction. But I've approached so many insurance companies, all they want is what they're asking for me is not even up to half of my professional fees. So the government needs to do something. We need to regulate this. If we have a professional indemnity insurance in place, we won't go all this way. We'll have been able to track down the consultants involved in this. We, the NIA Lagos State chapter, were working in conjunction with the Building Control Agency, where we've been asked and we're sitting down with them to get all the list of registered architects in Lagos State. So as this happened now, within a twinkle of an eye, they'll be able to find the architect and know that yes, this approval was given because this architect's registration number and blah, blah, blah was there. But unfortunately, let's wait for the investigation on this. Also, there's been a lot of, tribunals investigation on other building collapse. Nobody has been brought to record, both by the government and the regulatory body. I remember the institute was involved in the tribunal in 2013. Since 2013 up to 2021, we're still waiting for the so-called white paper so that we know who is to blame or who, whose negligence is. Thank you, Deji.
Now, finally, before I let you go, sir, if eventually at the end of this, you found out that one of your members was actually the architect that handled this building, that some of your members were actually involved, would you have some kind of punity measures in place against such members?
I give you open to Act 19 of the Federal Laws of Nigeria. Act 19 of the Federal Laws of Nigeria clearly stated what the punitive measures are. Not only to be deregistered, he will go to jail. That is there, and that's why I still hold on to the regulatory body. Because if everyone has done the needful, we won't be where we are today. The signage, first and foremost, was wrong. It's been there for the past 2 years. All we're doing is fighting among ourselves. Who wants to be chairman? Who wants to be president? Falana said it. If the regulatory body are doing the needful, we won't be where we are today. And that is why it's such a shame, such a shame to the consultants, to the professional bodies. Because some of us are thriving very hard, but some of us are not. They're just trying to demoralize all actions by others. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Maja Kodumi, for your time and for talking to us. We really appreciate this. Well, that's how much we can take on the program this week. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you again next time. Bye-bye.